welcome to another webinar. Um, so before everyone comes in, let's do the usual stuff that we usually do. Um, where are you from? And can you please mute your mics when it should have been done automatically, but yeah. Um, can you please write where you're from in the chat box until everyone joins? Austria, Czech, Spain, Latvia, Italy, Netherlands, Slovenia, Austria, Netherlands. Amazing. It's amazing that we have so many trail runners from different parts of Europe. Croatia, Germany. Nice. Um, and what is it, can you write the distance that you're running? So is it 30K, 50K, 100 mile, 160? Anna, Luca, um, 60, 30, Ziga, 30, 60. Nice mix of less than 50 and more than 50, like 160. Is it your first one? How many of you running your first ultra? Uh, third, first. Marco is the third. Which distance are you running, Marco? 160, I think, or 2010. 2010, I assume it's the year, not the amount of marathon ultras you run. Marco 30, fucking hell. Amazing. Cool. So 1 second, I'll share my screen. To, cool. So, today we'll talk about why runners blow up, which is an interesting topic. I think that's why you're all here, obviously. Um, the outline will be why blow-ups happen. It's important, I think, to understand why things happen, how to avoid them, um, pacing errors, effort control and principles, and practical pacing framework. And then we'll have a Q&A in the end, as we usually have. How many people actually blew up in a race? Those obviously who've done more than one. I can't read the comments. Chat. Many times. Okay, Luca. Good. Hopefully by end of this webinar, you'll be like, yeah, I know why. Uh, three. Not okay. Olaf. Uh, amazing. Okay. Not a lot, just three people. The rest are just shy. So UTV is underway. I mean, 7 weeks to go. How are you feeling overall? Are you all feeling ready, or are you feeling that it's last minute training plan is going to be adjusted for the next 7 weeks? How ready do you feel actually from 0 to 10? Still preparing, ready, just sprained an ankle. Nice. 8, 9, 2, ready. Well, those that are not really ready yet, you still have time. In 7 weeks, that's like one training block. So 6 weeks, or you can see, and you can think of two, yeah, 1.5. So you still have time. It depends where your fitness level is. But most runners, they don't fail because of fitness, and that's what a lot of times people think, that they fail because they're not fit enough. But the blow up didn't happen at hour 8 or hour 10 or hour 12. Usually blowouts happen in the first hour. It's because we think that if we go hard on a one hill, particularly, let's say an hour 8, that's when the blowout happened. But actually, it happened way below, way in the start. And there is a reality, and this is what most people think, what most trail runners think. They think that I wasn't fit enough, nutrition failed, they had a bad day, Legs just died, needed more long runs. And the obsession with long runs is crazy because it's like it's constantly about, yeah, I need more long runs. If that was the solution, nobody would have a DNF because we would have solved the problem with long runs. But the reality is how quickly you spend your finite resources. And finite is actually my recently my favorite word that I read. Actually, I'm reading this book that I highly recommend, Meditation on Mortals. Basically, the concept in trail running, what you have a finite resources, you have a finite amount of energy that you're going to carry from start line to finish line. And if we treat that we have infinite energy or infinite time in this world, you're going to blow up. And how this translates into trail running is when you start, you think of your glycogen levels, you think of your neuromuscular resilience. Maybe you won't be thinking exactly like that, but think of that you have a finite resources to finish the race. Don't think, I'm just starting, I'm feeling fresh. I'm going to go all in. Um, the reality is there are four things: glycogen levels, neuromuscular resilience, muscle damage tolerance, and central fatigue tolerance. I'll explain it in simple language. The most important is glycogen. So if you start too fast in the beginning, which a lot of people start, then glycogen levels increase because you're consuming. Think of it as a fuel. Essential muscle damage increases as well because you're using your muscles too much. So nothing really goes explodes in one go. Usually it's small accumulation of things that happen. So you feel your legs are heavy, you feel that um, fueling stop works after 50K or after 30K. Sometimes fueling stop working, and we think, what did I do an hour ago? But the problem wasn't what did you do an hour ago. The problem was how did you start? Did you start fueling early? Did you start and follow the plan that you had initially? Because usually how it happens is like, yeah, I don't feel hungry, I'm not gonna eat. And then there's a mysterious um, blow up, which is not really mysterious because we know the causes. Strides collapses, so when you get tired, your strides are shorter or longer, depends if you're going uphill or downhill. And the root cause is usually early intensity and not late failure. And they're not. Most of the times, I don't think it's actually a fitness problem. I think it's just failure in pacing the right way. This is me a couple of years ago. That yeah, it was a pacing mistake. I went too hard in the beginning, and then by the end, I nearly like, barely could walk. But in fitness, there are always nuances. It's not black and white. There's no one training program, or you'll do this and you'll succeed, or you'll do this and you'll finish the race. Sometimes it's fitness. So this me in another race, I nearly DNF. It was it wasn't because I paced too fast. Actually, I didn't pace at all because I wasn't fit enough. I didn't do hill sessions. I didn't do strength training properly. So sometimes it's fitness. So it depends from where you are, what level you are, and why. You have to whenever if you DNF before or whenever you're in a race, think of okay, what did I do this time that caused this? So um, pacing errors are invisible at the start for the simple reason is because you're obviously adrenaline and glycogen stores are full. Everything is fresh, so you're fresh. You're like, yeah, let me go. Let me just follow all the runners, and especially at the start line, like obviously UTV, you'll have an amazing start line. They'll hype you up, and you'll be all hyped up. But actually, the challenge is because you're so hyped up, you increase intensity, you increase pace in the beginning, and this is why a lot of times we blow up. So the the solution to that is to start smooth, is to start, relax, let other runners past you. Nobody DNF'd in the first 10 kilometers unless they were injured. Usually people DNF after. I mean, it's common sense. And there's no immediately like, you don't have like, this is a penalty signal. So you started the first 20K fast and there's a referee somewhere saying, well, now it's a penalty. The penalty is going to come after a couple of hours and you'll think that it was this hill, it was something else. So if you start and it feels smooth, it's like, oh yeah, I can go faster. It's like, well, usually it's you're going too fast. So ideally you want to start when you start, let the 5 minutes past the finish line and all the hype disappear and let other runners pass. But you want at some point to pause and to say, you know what, I'm going to go a bit slower and increase my speed later because you have a whole ultra. Ultras are long. Think of pacing mistakes like a credit card. You spend, you spend, you spend, but then when the bill comes, it's like, oh shit, it's the same thing. It's the same concept. Um, Fatigue, it comes later. It kind of accumulates. So the first 5 kilometers, the first hill, the first downhill, so it adds on. The faster you go, the more depletion happens, and then fatigue accumulates, and then you're burned out. Um, and initially, you won't see an immediate like, oh shit, I feel tired after this hill or this 10K or whatever. It's small, tiny errors, and the tiny errors they're not really visible because like, ah, yeah, it's all right. I just went a bit harder here. I just went a bit harder there. So ideally, you want to think of pacing as I'm going to go in the same pace, up hills, down hills, and on flats. Road running is very forgiving, but trail running is not. And the reason why is because road running, you don't have hills, you don't have elevation, you don't have all the obstacles, and the metabolic cost, which means you need more energy. So when we go on trail running and we run on trail, let's say an hour versus an hour on road, on trail we need 10% more calories. So the body needs more energy, needs more calories, more glycogen depletion. So gradient the gradient changes, the downhills are harder, strides changes, so uphills is different, downhills is different. So all this matters. So if you come from a road running background, and somebody actually asked me, she messaged me and said, "Oh, I'm transitioning from road running here in the UK," and said, "How can I start trail and how can I focus on my pace?" I'm like, this is a wrong mindset to have, and that's obviously what road runners come with. They come with a pace and my, oh, I need to do this and this. Like, no, forget pace. If you're starting on trails, there's no pace. There's RPE. Um, so running too hard uphill, a lot of times what happens is like, well, we're depleting our glycogen, but then we're getting more fatigued, and that means higher muscular tension. Descents, a lot of times people think, oh, descents is free speed, as they call, but actually they're not because your quads are on fire. And I would actually say the opposite. You should go a bit slower because you're just creating more muscle damage. And that means your neuromuscular system could just collapses. So downhills are hidden killer because people go crazy downhills and then they wonder why they can't go on the last uphill or they're burned out or they DNF. Um, Impatience. Because ultras are long, you need to be very effective. And I think the number one reason, if you want to finish strong races and be good in trail running, the number one skill is being very efficient. Because if you're not efficient in terms of your nutrition, how you run, your pacing, all the stuff, it's like, well, you're going to get exposed at some point. The younger you are, the easier it is to get away. So if you're over 30, 35, you're going to start feeling more and more destroyed. I have someone who I'm training, he's coaching, he's 32. He runs all these races, he's a great runner, but he constantly has some niggles. It's like, well, but you have to pause. 32 is okay. You're gonna get away. Like, you know, you run now 50K, let's say this weekend. Next weekend you're gonna run another race, and you won't really feel a difference. But once you hit 35 plus, well, you're gonna feel it. So what does it mean blowing up? Well, your quads are destroyed. They can't really move. You feel that you're shaking. You feel that you don't have energy to eat. Sometimes, obviously, after a certain distance, after a couple of hours, you get to a point where, like, well, I can't handle more food. I can't handle more tolerance. Um, but the biggest thing is running on downhills fast and running on flats, which we'll talk about later. There are three things that we should pay attention to, and your muscular fatigue and aerobic fatigue. Aerobic fatigue is when you're out of breath, you slow down, so it means you push too hard. The solution not to get aerobically fatigued is always to think how hard you're breathing. So think of RPE. It's like, am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? When you're going uphills, like maybe I'm pushing too hard. Maybe some uphills, you just need to walk. or walk slower. Muscular fatigue means you're cramping. So cramps are coming up. It means that the brain can't send the signals anymore to your body to function properly. And sprinting does that. When we sprint downhill or rolling terrain, it happens a lot. Quads and cardiovascular limits. So your heart and lungs, they need more time to adjust and to adapt. So if you start, let's say, downhill really fast, and then I don't know, after 2K, let's say, or I don't know, after half an hour, you're stopping. Well, you should start always slower. Like you start in the beginning. Think of each hill as a mini race. Let's say in a race you have mini race. So think, okay, this hill I'm going to manage to start slower, and then as I go uphill, I'm going to increase my pace. Not running, unless you're aiming for podium, but like hiking. And this is why training helps. When you hike, you think, okay, this is my 6 out of 10 RP. This is my 5 out of 10 RP. Um, in terms of quads, not to destroy quads, you need to obviously do strength training, eccentric exercises mostly, and yeah, just incorporate some. So if you don't go to the gym, just incorporate some eccentric exercises at home before running. Maybe if you go for a run for an hour, just say, okay, I'm going to do 20 minutes. It will help your quads and in the race. Um, Glycogen and intensity management. I think a lot of people wouldn't DNF just because if they manage their intensity more properly. So like I said before, it's not just let me eat when I'm hungry, but let me eat every 30 minutes 1 bar or whatever you're eating or gel. And then while you eat, understand that you're fueling your body, but you're not fueling your body for right now. You're fueling your body for the next 10 kilometers, the next 20 kilometers. So even if you don't feel hungry, if you don't feel like, "Ah, I don't want to eat anything," it's like, well, think that your fat supply is unlimited, well, kind of unlimited, but your glycogen levels they go faster. That's why it's when you train something that you actually do, um, which helps a lot. You can train sometimes, not every week, but sometimes you can say, you know what, this long run I'm going to train without any food, which is counterintuitive to what usually people say and what usually coaches say, because usually you have to eat every 30 minutes. But if you incorporate small doses in your training, not eating, it will help your body use more fat rather than glycogen. And you can try it once and see how you feel. But when race day comes, you'll be like, okay, your body will be used to, not used completely, but it will be more likely that it will be using more fats. So yeah, just remember, glycogen is stored muscle is stored energy for that is finite. 3 rules to follow. If it's low intensity, mostly flat, little glycogen. If it's moderate, a mix of fat and glycogen. But if it's high intensity, so if you're going uphill too fast, well, heavily glycogen. So if you actually can do a strategy for your pacing, saying, okay, I'm going to go low, moderate, and high, and choose the distances. So, for example, from checkpoint A to checkpoint B, from checkpoint C to checkpoint D. It will help you think in advance and be a bit more proactive. Is it clear so far? Yeah, cool. Okay. So ultras are very long. Those are you heard the 30K. Okay, it's not that long, but it's still long compared to a 10K. Uh, but yeah, especially if you're doing more than 50K, they're very long, and you have to really preserve glycogen, preserve your energy, and think that you need a strategy to go through the whole 100K or 50K or 100 miler, because it's no joke. And sometimes eating won't save you fully because if what happens is we don't eat, then shit, something happens and we start eating from checkpoints and gels and all this stuff. But it won't save you because the body is already depleted from all the energy. So that's why it's so freaking important to start eating properly, not just on when the race day starts, but starting 48 hours before, which most people say it's 24 hours, you have to carb load, which is not true. You have to start 48 hours before because the body needs time more to absorb. So if you start strategically carb loading, not just pasta, but different foods, 48 hours before, and you think about your race day, what time does the race start? Okay, it starts at 6 p.m. or 6 a.m., whatever. Okay, how I'm going to eat before the race, not just, I ate half a bar or 1 bar an hour or every 30 minutes, whatever your strategy is, and try to figure out how many carbs per hour do you need. Is it you don't need 90 or 100 unless you're going for a podium. Maybe it's 60, and just have a rough idea. You don't need to be like so strict with it. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to have, but have an idea how you're going to um, help your body finish your ultra strong. Think of glycogen as fuel tank. Um, an example, you have glycogen tank, slow drain, and then the fat supply is really like unlimited. So is when you go easy, controlled effort, well, you'll have more energy, you'll be happier at the finish line. And DNFs or blow-ups, they don't happen just because you run too long, but they happen because you run too fast in the beginning. If you go hard, like too hard early, well, rapid drain from glycogen tank, so no energy, but the fat is still there. And the body won't say, we run out of glycogen, let me use some fats. It's like, well, it doesn't work that way. And so early depletion, you finish destroyed, or UTNF. What do you think are the most common pacing errors? There are a couple of them. Let's see. You can write in the chat box. Starting too fast. Mm-hmm. Sending start for sure, yeah. Following a run that's too fast, start too fast. Yeah. True. There is this lie that we have, the fresh legs. In the beginning, you're feeling amazing and you're running too hard. And the problem with that is that you don't feel that you're running too hard because you're fresh. It's like freaking hell. Yeah. Oops. Um, the second is climb eco trap. So climbing, going more, adding more speed, more going faster, when you should actually hike or go slower. So a lot of people, they have strengths and weaknesses. Some people are stronger on uphills, people are stronger on downhills, and they use that in their strategy in the race day. So they say, okay, I'm going to just go harder on uphills and then go slower on downhills, and then well, just choose one pace and say, you know what, I'm going to go on hills at the pace that is comfortable for you, that is an average pace. And well, descent delusion, they feel very easy, like I said before. It's like free speed, as they say, but it's a huge cost to your quads. And I can't underestimate how damaging it is to your quads when you just pounder down, down, down. And we think that, you know what, because it's so easy and it's free speed, we don't get actually cardiovascular fitness. It's like, yeah, I'm not feeling my heart, going up and down. It's like, no, but your muscles are. It's not two different things. Your cardiovascular fitness and your muscles, it's one body. And because we're running fast down hills, it's like, yeah, I'm not losing or spending any energy, but you're using your quads, which you're destroying your quads, and it has a reaction. Intensity drift. So effort, you speed up without any awareness. So let's say you have a hill and say, okay, I'm gonna go faster. So it's basically you change your intensity, and ideally you want to think of your intensity for the whole race and say, okay, I'm going to do this intensity, whatever that intensity. And that's where training comes in handy. And that's where learning, well, now, whatever training you're doing, I would highly recommend train yourself to feel what is your RPE. So out of 10, it might be 8. So let's say you do 10K run and say, today I'm going to do a 4 RPE. And then the next week or the next day, I don't know, do a 7 RP. And when you do more training runs like that, you'll be like, okay, I know what is 4, I know what is 7 for you, because everyone has different RPEs. Some people, when they're like 7, it's like they're exhausted. I'm like, oh shit, okay. But that's different fitness levels. Comparing your pace, I think that's the most common, especially in races, because you're like, oh, there's a guy that's running or a girl that's running next to me. I can run with them. Or maybe it's your friend and your friend is fitter or not fitter. It's like it's a trap. Choose your pace. I'm not saying don't run with your friend, but be conscious about other people's pacing. I definitely did it a lot of times. Like I saw a runner, I was running behind him. Well, it's like, well, it's okay, calm down. You're not going for podium. It doesn't matter if you finish 50th or 100th. Who cares? Um, so yeah, comparing your pace and following other runners. So effort control principles for trail running. This is the solution to not finishing destroyed. The first one is effort versus speed reality. So if you look at your speed, you get like, ah, okay, I can go faster. But if you just focus on RPs and on your efforts, like, you know what, pacing actually is meaningless on trail running unless, I always say, unless it's is someone is going for performance, like top 10, top 20. So the most important metric you should think about is effort. How do you measure effort in training is, I would suggest obviously RPE first, but to see if you haven't done it before, is to see where your heart rate is. So for example, in some runs we have, I say where your heart rate monitor, and then say I'm going to run it 4 out of 10, right? And then see where your heart rate is, and then run 6 out of 10 and see where, so you know the numbers. If you even if you're not data driven and you don't care about numbers, it's good to see, because then you'll be able to, in 3 months and 6 months, you'll be able to see your progress. So you run with less effort, but you run faster, and you can track your heart rate goes down. So for example, I don't know, whatever, so let's say it's 110, and now you're in 6 months, you train, you did everything right, and you can feel like, my heart rate is lower, but I'm running faster. It's just a nice kind of game to have. Climbs. Um, so have a ceiling. So create for yourself a ceiling how hard you're going to go on climbs. So as soon as you know in the race, it's like, yeah, I'm going up hills. But if you have a ceiling and say, you know what, this is my standard. Like create a standard for yourself. A ceiling is like, well, you know what? I'm not going to go above this RPE, even if I feel fresh, even if my friends or people are passing. I'm not going to do that, because you have a different strategy. Um, Okay. So protect your legs at all cost, versus chasing free speed, because it's just so much easier when you just know what pace you're going and how much effort you're going to put in. Okay. The hidden danger zones of trail running. What do you think is the most the most dangerous part of a race? And most runners, they're scared of steep climbs and descents and all that stuff. But there's one thing that really like is is killing a lot of, I mean, killing, you know what I mean, a lot of trail runners. What do you think is the hidden danger? Let's see if someone it's really hiking. No, no, not eating. It's very simple. It's like it's something so managed to forgive Carlo beer too much. Yeah, well, yeah, kind of, but it's not that. It's so sexy. It's when you see something. It's like when you're in a race or even training. It happened to me this weekend. Don't break a leg. No, it's when you see it. It's like, it's so enticing. And then you go just a bit faster. And it's basically flats and rolling terrain, because the mind goes, it's flat and it's a rolling terrain. I mean, rolling terrain, it's not. And then you just go crazy. You're like, yeah, I'm going to cover this, the distance and the time, because I was going slow up hills or I was going slow down hills. But it's hidden because we think like, well, it's flat, but actually you're using more glycogen, as we were speaking before. You're using more energy, and this is what happened on Saturday. I went for a long run, and the run was the goal. The strategy was run second part harder, based on something. It doesn't really matter. And I saw this rolling terrain, and I said, so not rolling, it was flat in Box Hill. And I'm like, you know what? F this. I'm gonna just go a bit harder, And I did, and obviously I paid the price later. I was like, oh, freaking hell, I was depleted. And as a coach, you think you don't make mistakes, but you do because you see it's like, yeah, I'm just increasing my RP from I don't know 6 to 7. It doesn't matter, but it matters because then your energy is depleted. And it's like shit, I can't do the same effort in my second loop as I did in my first, and let alone go faster. So actually, and even if you look at pro athletes, a lot of races are won based on the flats. They're not like smart athletes, top podium athletes. They're not. They know this, obviously. They're not going crazy on flats and rolling terrain. They might actually go crazy a bit on uphills or downhills, but I think flats and rolling, I don't I think they are. So yeah. Basically, you're trying to make up time to make up speed, but what this means basically, you're just your glycogen level increases, you're depleting your um, energy. And why it happens is because you have longer strides. So when we run uphill, the strides should be shorter. When we run downhill, the different strides, higher speeds, so you're going faster. But yeah, muscle tension increases and fatigue accumulates. And like I said before, always think of fatigue that it's not something that happens right now. It happens step by step. It's like not step by step, sorry. It happens it's like resentment. It doesn't start from, let's say, January. It start in December. It starts in January, February, and it builds up. The same with fatigue. When we train hard without recovery, so you're training hard, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and you don't recover, you don't pause, you just go up. Well, fatigue accumulates, and that's where burnout happens, and that's where we get destroyed. Here where most races are lost between technical sections because we think we will make up time, and you feel that you'll get back in control. Yeah, so I think emotionally runners think, oh yeah, I can do this. I can be. They go into performance mode. They go into performance mode versus just management mode. So whenever you're running on flat terrain or you're going downhill, just think, okay, how can I be in a management mode? So they push harder. Okay. Um, Here are three kind of rules. Climbs force discipline because obviously you're not going to be running. You're not going to be running climbs. Descents they demand control, and flats they tempt destruction. So like I said before, it's like you have to think of these three elements of your race, and maybe you have 7 weeks now to write down a plan and to write down your strategy and say, you know what, I'm going to do. And in the meantime, you can train. So let's say you you create a strategy and you say, okay, for UTV, whatever distance you're running, look at the go to the website and look at the elevation gain. Look at how much, not just how much elevation you have, but what's the distance from point A to point B in terms of climb? So how many hours you're going to be climbing? So if it's, let's say, whatever the location is, location A to location B, there's a hill that you're going to climb for, I don't know, 2 kilometers. Count how many hours you're going to be climbing that and write down on a piece of paper. Say, you know what, I'm going to climb this at 7 RP. Then downhills, have a reminder. I don't know. I think, okay, downhills, I'm going to go a bit slower. Uphills, I'm going to go at whatever RP. But it's really smart and effective to create a strategy. Um, okay. Treat flats as a stabilization zone. So if you went too hard on uphills or downhills, like, okay, I'm going to stabilize a bit on my on flats, and I'm not going to go faster. I'm just going to stay. I'm going to just to be stable, and I'm going to be effective, and protect your energy on. Like, think of treat flats like I'm going to protect my energy on flats, even if other runners pass me. I know it's like a lot of times it's when you run, you see other runners pass, like, oh shit, they're faster and what position I am. As long as you're not obviously chasing cutoffs, because that's the worst position to be, chasing cutoffs. Um, if you are chasing cutoffs, you should have trained harder, but or smarter, not harder. But you shouldn't be chasing cutoffs because it's the worst time. You're not enjoying the race. You're like, trail running is not about chasing cutoffs and saying, "Oh shit, I have 10 minutes left and I have to speed up." That's not trail running. That's just you're shooting yourself in the foot. effort should be boring. People don't like boring, but if you're if you're going boringly sustainable, that's key. And that's I think a lot of times in fitness, not just running, but in fitness, people underestimate how boring benefits their results, their long-term results. And the reason why is because we all want novelty. We say, ah, yeah, this is the shiny new thing. Or, you know, I see so many times people look at different exercises and, oh, I'm going to do this exercise, this new exercise, and I'm going to do this new run. But at the end of the day, it's simple. Fitness is not that complicated, but we make it complicated. And unfortunately, a lot of people on social, they make it complicated to sound smart, but boring always wins. You want to lose body fat, just boring. To do every day the same food, maybe change once a day. Wear the same clothes. Like there's simple concepts that you can like start loving boring because people that don't love boring, they look for novelty and they go in the same cycles. They run, they get injured. It's the same thing. Um, so in the beginning, almost too easy early. So go even slower than you were planning. So you start the race, and it's like, you know what? I'm gonna go slower because guess what? You have so many hours, you have so much distance. If you feel stronger in the second part of the rain, guess what? The second part of the race. Guess what? You can push harder. So a strategy actually that you can do, and something that I'm doing with a friend, is like I have certain strengths and weaknesses. He has certain strengths and weaknesses, and you find someone who is the opposite of you. So, for example, I don't go really fast in the beginning. My friend goes really fast in the beginning, so it's the opposite of me. And then, obviously, if you find someone who is the exactly opposite of you, they'll be like, "Yeah, calm down. Don't start fast. Be a bit more conservative." So think of how can you maybe I don't know find new friends, running buddies, but think of even or if you're running by yourself, just always think you always have a second. If you're running 100K, you always have another 50K to go crazy. If you have more energy than at 80K, that's amazing, but you will not have enough energy to finish if you give everything in the beginning. So why not pause, be very like slow, quote unquote, in the beginning and say, you know what, I'm gonna be slow. But after 50K, and imagine the feeling, and it might be ego, but imagine the feeling after 50K, 60K, when the majority of trail runners they're struggling going up hills and like they're destroyed, you're just passing them strong. Like not from an ego thing, but it's like, yeah, because this is what happens. So think of it, you know what? After 50K, if you're doing 100K, if you're doing 60K, after 30K, I'm gonna push harder. And you'll just feel amazing because you'll finish strong. Not strong the last, kilometer until the finish line when adrenaline starts, like, yeah, I finished. But genuinely finishing, feeling like, you know what, you gave it your best, but you managed your intensity perfectly. Um, Flats don't win ultras. They decide whenever you survive the later climbs and descents. Um, so yeah, it's just flats are deceiving. Like I said, just always remember when you're running training, yeah, this is very deceiving. This is very sexy, but it's like, you look at that woman that is sexy but it's toxic. It's like, well, don't really want to run and destroy myself. Basic framework. Four things. Effort caps. So effort caps is what I explained previously. You have 7 out of 10 max. You don't go more than that. Patience window. Patient window is you have a lot of energy, especially in the first half of the ultra, and you're like, you know what? I'm going to wait until I go into the second part of my ultra, my whatever distance you're running, and you just keep that patience. It's hard, but if you have that mindset and you work around your um, um, race, it will help. Climbs are investments, and what I mean by that is like every count, go into your race and see how many climbs you're going to have. Write them down on a piece of paper, and you can actually do it. I did it on a race once. You write all the distance and the time, the hours that you're going to spend on each climb. So let's say you have four hills, and you think of those four hills as an investment. It's like, okay, hill one, it's like investing in, I don't know, ISA or whatever. It's like I have four investments to make in this race, and I don't want to overspend, overinvest. Just want to be calm and controlled. So Every time you see a climb, maybe now you're going to go and start training and run your long runs. They're going to look at hills as investments. Because if you go in a perfect pace that you trained for, guess what? You're going to run smoothly. Because ideally, you want to run on trails and not think about, oh shit, I'm destroyed, I'm not enjoying it, but enjoy time with nature, connect with yourself, and run the second half first. So think of your second half as your race. So they say ultra start at 50K, right? So literally think of that. Like the first 50K, I'm just warming up. Or if you're running 60K, the first 30K is just a warm up. That's it. Um, okay. If it feels slightly too easy early, you're probably correct. Because in the beginning, especially, you're all hyped up. Obviously, you've been training for months. Some people have been training for years. But yeah, if it's too easy, you're doing great. Um, Here are some pacing rules for trail running. Okay, I think I said it too many times. You're gonna go to bed and think of, oh, I'm gonna start easy. Start easier than feels necessary. Always remember fresh legs. Fresh legs, adrenaline. It's a false sense of sustainability. It's fake. Um, Protect your glycogen and legs. If the pace feels perfect early, it's probably too hard. So if you feel like, yeah, it's a perfect pace for you, it's probably you're going too hard. Rule two, pace by effort, not by speed, never by speed, always by effort. If you have whatever watch you have, uh, I would suggest just remove pace. You don't really need it. I would suggest change it to your heart rate, change it to something else. Yeah, it's irrelevant. And I think sometimes when we look at pace, it's like, oh shit, it's whatever, 7 kilometers per hour. That doesn't really matter. Um, Treat descents as damage control. So rather than treating descents as free speed, as most trail runners treat it as, treat it as damage control. Because when you go downhill, think of it, you know what? This is damage control to my quads, so I can run or hike uphill and finish strong. Because if you treat descents as free speed, you're gonna burn out. You're gonna just finish destroyed. But how do you do that? Is you go light, so light cadence, shorter steps, minimal braking. So rather than going full speed without going fast and braking all the time, just minimum braking. But you have to go slower because if you go fast, the braking, by what I mean by braking, I think it's self you brake, obviously you stop because you're going too fast. So if you're going a bit slower, you need minimum brakes. You don't win ultras on descents. Nobody wins them except like I said before, except if you're a pro or going for top 10, top 20 performance. You lose them actually. I did a mistake last year on a descent. It was in Chamonix. I was going, it was last 10, I don't remember the distance, but it was basically going down to the finish line. And I got so excited. I was like, "Oh, fucking hell, I'm just going to go downhill fast." And the guy behind me said, "Oh, I like your pace." And I don't know, my ego got in the way. And I was like, "Yeah, I can go faster." And I went faster for 5 minutes. And I was like, "Oh, shit, okay." You know, because it's tempting to see downhills as free speed. But yeah, later I paid the price. Well, I didn't really pay the price, but I just added some common sense to my brain. Um, One habit. So if you practice one habit once a week and deliberate effort to discipline run, it will be great. It will help you a lot. Choose a long run or a steady run and say, you know what, this is going to be whatever um, um, effort I'm going to run. And this will train your awareness, your effort pace, your effort awareness. Um, and patience under good, if you feel good, it's like have patience. Um, okay. Way too many times we make decisions based on feelings, and early race decisions are based on feelings. I feel amazing, let me push. I feel that everybody is faster than me. Oh shit, I need to push. Oh, this is a mini climb. You know, there's some small climbs like I can run them. Well, you can, but then you'll pay the price, and that's what causes blowups. And I think the most important thing right now, 7 weeks left to your race, is something that we don't talk about, and I think it's so important, is sleep and rest. It's free. You don't need anything. You don't need to go crazy with your distance. The long runs are just constantly doing long runs is misunderstanding mostly. But if you just focus on sleep, rest, and because when race day comes, you won't sleep properly like a day before, most probably, or even 2 days before. But right now you have 7 weeks to dial in your recovery, to really like focus. Okay, how do I focus on recovery? Because recovery is huge. People underestimate they have one rest day, let's say, whatever day that is, Sunday or Monday, but you really did you really recover? Did you let your body recover? And I don't mean by cold plunges and saunas and all that stuff. What I mean is just recover, rest, eat enough protein, especially after long runs, after training. Focus on high nutrient foods, and something about long runs. Don't do all your long runs the same pace, the same distance, and the same. Maybe it's the same distance, but you have different stimuli. So you do, let's say, one weekend you do a long run that's 5 out of 10. The next weekend you do a progressive long run. The next weekend you do I don't know, slow start and fast finish. Some I don't know. Depends on your training, but don't keep the same long runs because you'll just get fatigued, and you won't really increase your fitness. So some of you, I think that you have my ebook. My guide is how to finish Ultra Strong Not Destroyed. If you did read it, I updated it because I'm writing my book, and I realized it was, well, I updated it so much better. So if you read it, you can get it for free. Um, you can download it on this link and take a picture, scan the QR code. If you read it, you can reread it. I introduced a strong framework, which will help you understand a bit more about training philosophy. It's not a training plan because I don't believe you can have ready-made training plans. But yeah, I think you'll benefit from it, and it's a small guide. When the book would be launched, it will be the whole system, comprehensive system. So I think you will enjoy it, and if you do, let me know. Q&A. What questions do you have? Let's see. Unless you're from Netherlands where you don't have hills. Yeah. Well, depending from blowing up my specialist. Yes, hallucination after 20 hours. True. There's no arbitrary number that classifies heart rate as acceptable, because it depends. It depends from you. You have to train. You have to see what you can do is go and do a long run and see what your heart rate is, and based on that, I mean, it shouldn't go skyrocket. You're not doing tempo sessions. You're not doing speed work. So I think, yeah, you just do a long run, a test, see, and if you're using Training Peaks or if you're using Strava, um, yeah, um, blowing up. What other questions you have? If there are any questions. What's the biggest takeaway then from this webinar? Anna, you're pinned on my screen, so I can see only you. Um, uh, Biggest takeaway. So what's one thing that you'll implement in UTV race? Not starting fast. Okay, train hard, race harder, party hardest. I don't agree with that, Luca, but okay. You do you. Take it slower than I think. Create a plan. Amazing. Create a plan. Create a plan for Dieta. Create a plan, not just your training plan, but like your pacing plan. It can be simple. Just take one page and say, you know what, I'm going to do my pacing plan, obviously nutrition plan as well. Make a good effort. Make a good effort plan for each part. Yeah, take the route from the website, and then say, okay, this is my plan. And don't forget, plans, they don't really they work until they don't. So you can plan all day long, but when execution comes, when race day comes, and you see the start line and this and that, and then you have this friends, like things go crazy, right? So, but when actually, this is really important because if you have a plan, you already wrote consciously what you're going to do and how you're going to run, right? If you don't have a plan, you're just going to follow everyone. It's like, yeah, I'm going to pass, I'm going to do this. But if you have a plan, you will kind of like, oh shit, I wrote a plan. This guy on a webinar told me to write a plan. What was the first hill pace? Like, at least you'll have some like a reminder. Um, how much water? Well, it depends. Definitely to um, forgot the thing where you put
Bottles,
water. Yeah, and then
soft
if
flasks.
soft flask. And then when you have, if it's too hot, I would suggest adding in the back another flask just in case. But yeah,
It's 1 liter and a half mandatory between the aid station. The aid stations are approximately 12 kilometers apart. Um, yeah, that's it.
cool. I like the way you explain. If you feel good, it's too fast. If it's too slow, it's perfect. Amazing, Marco. Um, is it good to also train descents in regards to get faster there and teaching coordinates? Is it good to also train descents in regards to get faster there and teaching chords? Yeah, of course, but you should do strength training as well, because you can do something that people do. The common mistake that they do is they train hard, so they go down hills hard, and they destroy their quads. And funny enough, this is not healthy. And I had actually a coach that had, I remember, a specific run. It said like go fast down hills, and later, obviously, after I became a coach, it's like I was reading the data. I was like, shit, you shouldn't do that. So I wouldn't recommend going destroying your quads on downhills, but I would suggest just yeah, do strength training, do isometric holds, do eccentric loads. Like it's 20 minutes. Get to a gym, buy some dumbbells. I don't know, but yeah, it will help you, Clara. Um, Difference between effort during night during the day and night. Oh, that's a very good question, Branimir. I think during the day it's easier. During the night you're going to spend. That's an excellent question that I didn't think of. Thank you, Branimir. I'm going to screenshot this. It's good for good for the book. So at night you're going to spend more energy. Obviously, it's common sense because you can't see properly. You have your light. It's dark, so you're going to spend way more energy at night, even when you're going to be running slower. If it rains as well, if it's slippery, and especially in Slovenia, it's going to be slippery. So you're going to spend more mental energy trying to control your descents, your uphills, especially descents, so you don't fall. So yeah, actually, it's a very good point. And yeah, think about if your race starts at night. Yeah, I think shit. You have to go even slower because you're going to spend so much energy, cognitive thinking. What is or are the best exercises to practice downhill in terms of strengthening? Yeah, well, it's a huge topic, Stefan. It's a lot of ex. Actually, I'm gonna do something. You can follow me on Instagram, and I'll do it at some point in the next month. I'll post some exercises. I'll film them for downhill. There are lots of them, but I'll design something. I have something in my mind in the next. Try to do it faster, just for you, Stefan. Night. It's also harder to eat. Yeah, that's where training comes in. If you do long runs at night, which I highly recommend, especially if you're doing Clara. What distance are you doing, Clara? I assume 100K.
Hi,
Uh,
yes, I'm doing 100K, so yeah.
yeah, I highly recommend
Yeah.
you do it. Have you done a night run before?
Yes, I did. This is why I know it's harder to eat. Time flows faster for me in the night, and it's like different feeling in my body, and yeah, it's just a comment.
Yeah. Yeah, just practice. Don't overthink it. If you practice, it's fine. But during your race, just remember what you practice. Just eat, even if you don't feel like it. I'm not going to speak about nutrition because it's a huge topic. But in the guide that I wrote, I explain about the concept of three types of food: type one, type two, type three. And in short, type three is the foods that you never eat, you don't like. type 2 is your second favorite foods, and type 1 is the gels, is the normal things that trail runners eat. So what I recommend always mix the three. So you start with your type 1, and then you go to type 3, and then you go to type 2. That way your stomach won't get fatigued, because what happens is you get fatigued if you eat type 1 constantly. Let's say you're eating nut gels, right? Constantly eating them, then it gets, and then you say, oh, let me eat, I don't know, nuts or something. Well, it's a bit too late. But if you mix it in the beginning and you have a nutrition strategy, you'll win. I mean, not the race, but uh, instead of Insta, Iris, I don't want more work. I don't post my videos on YouTube, but I'll post them on, maybe I'll post it just for you on, because they'll be, no, they won't be long. They'll be quick. So just Instagram. YouTube is too much work for time being. I have other priorities. Cool. Need to go. Thanks, Alex. You're welcome, Olaf. Any more questions before we wrap it up? Cool. Well, that's it, I guess. Any questions you have? Yeah, here is, I'll share my screen and step two. Any questions you have, you can follow me on Instagram. It's Alex Novico. But anyway, if you Google my name, you'll find stuff. And if you download the guide, I highly recommend it. If you download it and read it, send me an email or a message with your feedback if you enjoyed it. And yeah, other than that, I'll see you guys in a month about for the last webinar. And yeah, don't forget, now is the time to really dial in your training, because in the next webinar, if you don't have your training dialed in, it will be a bit too late with 4 weeks. But yeah, thank you for the strength training. I will do something. So yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Alex. I wanted to just add that the last webinar is scheduled for 24th of March, and it's going to be all about nutrition. Yeah.
Cool.
So if there is no questions, I think we can wrap it up. Thank you very much, Alex, for a very insightful webinar.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.